this readathon, while it wasn't a set TBR, has shown how much my reading tastes have changed for me as, obviously, as the person that's been reading. Hello my loves, and thank you for joining me. It's Kirsten and we are doing my first ever 24-hour readathon. I'm not doing any prompts or anything like that. This is very relaxed. This is just me seeing how much I can read within 24 hours. I would love to say I'm not going to sleep during this, however I am pretty tired, don't know if you can tell, but we're gonna try. We're gonna try and stay awake and see how much I can actually get read within 24 hours. So I have a little TBR stack of books that I'm prioritising that I definitely want to get through, and obviously if I manage to get through all these, then we'll see what else I get up to. But the idea is to do this to help me just combat my physical TBR pile because it's huge. Yeah, fingers crossed this actually helps and I enjoy it and it all works and that you guys enjoy it. I think if this works and you want to see more of this, I'm going to try and do this bi-monthly just to help me get through, as I said, that TBR, because we are a bit out of control, and also something a bit different. If you do enjoy this and you guys feel like taking part, then I will do maybe next time a proper actual readathon where we'll do some prompts, we'll actually have a set time and just sort everything out. But I think for me, this is just to see, can I even do this? Because I don't know. Your girl likes her sleep, so we'll see. Anyway, let's get on with the books that I would like to get through. I have 7 here, although as you can see, some of them are pretty short. The main priority is actually getting through some manga because I have lots of volume 1 in a series. This time last year I went a little bit mad and bought loads of manga because I wanted it to have something light to read to break up my reading. However, I've also been terrible, and out of probably like the 12 or so series that I bought number 1s of, read about 4 of them. So it's time to actually tackle that and see whether I like them or not. So we have Magical Girl Apocalypse. This one I picked up just because of the cover. I don't actually know what this is about, but all the covers in this series have this and I think it's awesome. This is more of a horror manga, so we'll see how that one goes down. And the other one that I definitely want to get to is The Promised Neverland, and this one I picked up because my partner actually was talking to me about this one and he said I might enjoy this one. It's something that looks really cute, but I think it's actually darker than what it actually looks. So again, this will be an interesting one if I like it. So these are the 2 definites. I do have way more manga, so in all honesty, I might get through a bit more, but I do have one graphic novel 100% that I'm getting to, and that's Lady McConnor. Again, this is one that I bought months and months ago, never actually picked it up. Why, considering manga and graphic novels are such quick reads, I actually don't know. But yes, again, we'll be seeing, do we like this? It's steampunk Victorian. I should be falling in love with this. Why haven't I read this? I just don't know. I just don't know. And then continuing on with the quick reads, which is why I think this is going to be doable. Even though it's 7, it's doable, especially because 2 of them are comics. So this is Extraordinaries by V.E. Schwab. So there is actually a hardcover bind up of all of these, but I had so much fun buying it on a monthly basis, going to Forbidden Planet and picking up the next volume in the Extraordinaries comic series. It was so much fun. It's the in-between Vicious and Vengeful. So that is a duology that V. Schwab did, which kind of reminded me a bit like X-Men. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. And then she came out with this, and it's following a character that we do meet in the books, in the second book, but just don't hear much of. And this is her backstory and how she got caught up with all of it. So I have volume 3 and 4 to get through. Again, I don't know why I've been putting these off. They're literally going to take me 5 minutes. Like, they're not long. But I am also planning on reading volume 2. As much as I remember what the overarching storyline is all about, I don't remember exactly where we left off, so I think just to help myself out with that, I'm going to reread volume 2 and then continue on with these 2. So that's the main manga and lighter bits to read, and then I do have 2 actual books. So we have The Great God Plan by Arthur Machen. Should have checked that before I came on here, but never mind. And this is a classic book. It's a short story classic, and I picked it up literally because I read a retelling of the Athena Club Society. That's retellings of lots of different horror classics, and this one features in the 3rd book from that trilogy. And so I had to pick it up when I realised it was an actual classic book, because my determination is that for every retelling I've read, I need to read the original behind it. And obviously, if this author's been inspired by another author, I need to read their work and stuff. Like, it's just me continuously trying to see where all of these influences came from. It's never ending, but it's great. So obviously I had to pick this one up, but I keep forgetting about it. And it literally goes pioneering writer of horror fiction and fantasy. Hello, should be reading this because, you know, I do love my fantasy reads, or well, more past tense because at the moment I have got out of it, but it's not even big, it's small. I can imagine I'm going to get through this one very easily. Again, there's a couple more shorter classics that I can pick up if I finish this one and get through this TBR. Wishful thinking, because I've been saying that about everything. And then a book that isn't actually on my physical TBR, but one that my sister has lent to me, and that's The Iron King by Julie Kagawa. And this is a YA series. It was, I believe, Julie Kagawa's first series. I read her Shadow of the Fox series, which is like Japanese mythology inspired. Really enjoyed that. And so my sister lent me the first one in her YA series, and this has fae and everything in it, which it sounds fun. I haven't been interested in fantasy or YA fantasy that much at all, but the other book that she lent to me, which was Daughter of the Moon Goddess, I really enjoyed, and so I was just like, you know what, I need to get this read anyway, let's just do it. Let's just do it. So that's the definite TBR that we're going to do. As said, it is a bit of a mix. It's literally just things that I keep putting off, been meaning to read for a little while. Fingers crossed we can get through all of this, and as I said, if we can get through some more stuff as well. But I have been chatting for a little while, so join me on this. Let's see whether we can do it. The time is now, you can't even see that, but it is 4:53 p.m. on Saturday, so we're going to probably start it at 5 o'clock to make my life easier and run it to 5 o'clock tomorrow, and let's see how much I can actually get read within 24 hours. Okay, I know I'm literally only 53 minutes into the readathon, it's literally 5:53, but I've just finished The Promised Neverland, and what? Like, this was so good. I definitely need to get the next ones in this. This was brilliant. So we're following these kids. So you've got Emma, Norman and Ray, and they are 11-year-olds that have been at this orphanage for years. Oh my gosh, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but there is someone that is like, it sounds like they're hoovering outside. But yeah, so they all live at this orphanage. They have this mum that looks after them, and every single day they have to take this test, which these three seem to ace until they find out the sinister, dark secret that's actually surrounding this orphanage. And when I tell you that the twists in this book just have me like, what? This is great. I am so pleased that my partner suggested this one for me, because it's great, it's dark, but it's also the right level of sort of horrormonger that I really like. Like, I get on with Tokyo Ghoul, and this one is just, yeah, it's good. So definitely need to get the next one. But I think before I actually move on to the next books, I'm gonna do some food. I'm starving. And then I'm thinking it might be smart to split this one up, because I don't want to binge read all of it in one go. And it is 363 pages. So I think if I break it down into about maybe either 3 lots of 120 pages or 6 lots of 60, depending on how I get on with this book, to then break up the other ones that I'm reading, I think that would be a bit nicer, and then I can have a bit more like thoughts that have been formed. I don't know whether I'm going to update after every single book, but this was so good. I'm shook. This was brilliant. I loved it. So yeah, good start, and we only have 23 hours to go and I'm exhausted. But first, let's do some food, and yeah, I'll probably update you, probably leave it a few hours now, because otherwise this is going to be really long. Okay, it is now 8:22 in the evening. I have made the mistake of getting comfy, so I've got into pyjamas, well, this is my jumper, but into comfier clothes and tidied up my hair and stuff, took off all the jewellery and everything. So that was a mistake because now I'm feeling even more tired. So definitely don't think I'm going to be staying awake. But I did read, well, start The Iron King, and I'm on chapter 5, page 72, and this has not aged well. I think this is something that I would have really liked when I was in my teenage years, so rewind about 15 years and I probably would really like this. Obviously I'm only at the start and we've just discovered that obviously our main character Megan can see the fae and the fairies, and we have mentions of like the Seelie and unseelie court, and so it is interesting from that. It's not just going to be fae in like Sarah J. Maas type fae, it's actually going to be fairies, fairy folk, and all the different things. Like we've already had mentions of changelings, boogeymen, a lot. And so I like it for that. And there's also actually a lot of talk about Shakespeare's Midsummer's Night Dream, so that actually makes me go, okay, because I did want to get that anyway, and there's also a manga classic version of that, so I do want to pick up that at some point. This is now made me want to pick it up that little bit more, but I can definitely think there's this book that I'm going to have to read in little chunks like this. Like I don't think I can sit there and read 120 pages in one go. Like even just this bit, I've been doing like 30 pages, okay, stop, check my phone, check Instagram, you know, just breaking it up because I'm just not as interested. But I have eaten and everything, and I think what I'm going to do is maybe read the comics and that now, go back to that. I also want to catch up on some YouTube because there's been loads of new videos put out today, so I'll probably spend a bit of time doing that. And honestly, sleeping because I am really rather tired. Didn't pick a great day to do this when I didn't have a great sleep last night, but that's fine. And I also think because I'm not loving this so much at the moment, it feels a bit more, it's going to be a bit of a slog to get through, so that's also not helping the situation. I don't know, I feel like this is good. I also feel like I'm updating too much. I don't know. I've never done one of these before and I like it when other people do it. Yeah, anyway, I am rambling, so I'm gonna go, I think I'm gonna focus on the comics, get that done, maybe just have a break from reading, and then, oh, you know what, actually, we could do a hot drink as well. Yeah, okay, comics, hot drink, and then decide what to read. I don't know whether I'm gonna come back to this now or if I'm gonna maybe pick up the classic, but I don't know. I don't even know. I have a lot of reading material, but I'm also thinking, looking at it, none of this is actually gonna last me long, especially if I'm not 100% into this. So I feel like I should at least try and get to the 150 page mark today. At least do that, and then it would just be like tomorrow during the day, just finishing it off. Maybe I'll go have a drink, speak to my sister, see what she actually thought about this book, because I know that she liked it but she didn't speak too much about details. Maybe I'll just ask her like, does it pick up, see what she says, and then go from there. But yeah, okay, right, ramble, unnecessary update out of the way. Yeah, we're gonna go. Now coming up to midnight, well 10 to 12. I'm honestly shattered. I think, like I said, I think if this was the wrong day to try and stay up for 24 hours, it was always going to be a tough one. I like my sleep too much, so I think I'm going to admit defeat. I did, however, get to chapter 12, page 160 of this. And my sister did say it does get better. Sorry, you can hear a dog bark. It's the neighbour's dog. It is the most yappy thing at night. It's so irritating sometimes. I'm trying to film. Please, calm yourself. But yeah, my sister did say it does get better. She said it's not going to be anything that's going to stick with you forever. And she agreed it didn't age well, but she said it does get better. And it really is quite interesting. So far I can see a lot of influences from other things. Like I feel like Alice in Wonderland, massive impact with this. It's so like dream-esque, like very much like Alice has fallen down the rabbit hole, and that's kind of how I feel Megan is at the minute, and she's just completely overwhelmed. And Queen Tatiana is very reminiscent of the Red Queen and everything. And obviously I know that this is based on things like Midsummer's Night Dream and all of that as well. And there's been like generations of stories about the Seelie and unseelie court and things like that that have gone through. But just the way it's written reminds me of such a weird psychedelic dream like Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, if you've seen that. Seen that? Watched the film? Read the book? I've done both. I think they're really good. And also there was a scene in here that actually reminded me so much from the scene from The Hobbit where Bilbo Baggins is trying to convince these 3, I think it was cave trolls or something, not to eat them all. And there's a moment exactly like that, and Megan says a lot of things that was so reminiscent of that. So I'm making a lot of connections, which has actually made me enjoy this a little bit more. But yeah, definitely a bit more like trippy vibes. And then I did read volume 2, 3 and 4 of Extraordinaries by V.E. Schwab. I was a bit confused with this one. So I thought that we were seeing a character that you do meet in the book of Vengeful, I believe it. To be honest, it's been a little while since I've read it, so you could, I just haven't read it. And I kind of got a bit confused because the main characters that you're following, the 3 main characters, you've got Charlotte, Felix and Mitch. Is it Mitch? It begins with an M. But they're really similar to 3 characters within Vicious and Vengeful, and they have very similar powers as well. I think that's where the confusion was coming from, and then obviously at the end of it you kind of see, oh okay, like Victor Vale actually been shown and stuff, and then that made me go, okay, hang on a minute, and go back through these characters, because although they did have different names, like Felix and Victor have the exact same power, and I was just like, it's really weird. I did still enjoy it. I like these. They're not anything that I'd say like, oh my gosh, amazing, but I like the artwork. I like the fact that we do get a bit of expansion to the world and that she's doing it within like comic graphic normal format. It did remind me that I actually do want to reread The Vicious. At the minute it's a duology, but I think there might be a 3rd, I'm not sure. There's always talk, but obviously nothing's happened yet. So I would like to reread those, especially because it has been such a long time. But I do remember enjoying it, especially Vicious. I really liked that book and I just thought it was very, very interesting. So this has kind of made me want to reread that and just see if Charlotte pops up again, because I really thought she did in the books, but maybe I've just got it confused because, like I said, the characters in here are very similar to the characters from the actual books, but they're not the same, which is just a bit confusing. Yeah, so that's where we're up to at the moment. So we've finished these and obviously made a little bit of progress with this. I honestly haven't read as much. I did get distracted with YouTube, watched a few videos, so that was nice. But I am planning, like I said, I've got those 3 other books to go, plus finishing off the Iron King, and yeah, we'll go from there. But I think for now I definitely need at least a few hours sleep because I'm just too tired and I didn't get a great night's sleep last night. So I think it's time just to admit defeat, get some sleep, and tomorrow spend the day chilling out and reading and just enjoy it, because it's not often I give myself a day where I just read, where I don't bother editing or doing anything else, like actually just enjoying it. I also hope that we're in focus because I can't really see you without my glasses, like hazy, so I'm hoping this was all well, but I'm definitely doing some tired ramblings, so I'm gonna go. I think I'll see you in the morning. Good morning. It is now 10:15 in the morning, so we still have a few hours left of this readathon, and I have obviously got myself ready for the day, had a nice shower and everything, and just chilled. So I did sleep for a few hours. I think I slept for about 6, maybe 7 hours in the end, and it was needed. Couldn't have stayed up all night, in all honesty. Had a good sleep, and then I started off the morning with reading Lady McKenna, and this was interesting. It was obviously volume 1, so we're getting more of the background of who Lady McKenna actually is. So she is somebody that has been experimented upon and had mechanical limbs put on her, and she's desperate to find out who's done this to her, why it's all happened. And there is also a darker, sinister plot with another girl that's turned up with mechanical limbs. There seems to be talk of like demons and angels and things going on in this. I liked the artwork style in this as well, and I like the setting of it being this steampunk yet Victorian-esque setting. I liked that. Am I going to continue on with this one? I'm not sure. I did enjoy it. Don't think I enjoyed it as much as The Promised Neverland. Like, I think so far this has been my absolute favourite thing that I've read, but it is one that I'm curious about. The only problem with it is that it reminds me a bit like Monstrous. Different concept, like this one's more mechanical, this one is definitely more following that demon animal kind of horror-esque element to it, but the storylines felt kind of similar, and Monstrous is one that I read volume 1 and 2 but just haven't continued on with. And again, this is one that I did enjoy. I like the artwork and everything. We'll see. But it did take me about an hour and a half to actually finish this one. It was a bit longer than what I thought, but I did enjoy it. I did think the artwork style is really good, and the thing that I like about graphic novels is that it is in colour, whereas obviously manga generally black and white, so it's really nice to actually read this and have a bit of colour and everything. So that is where we're at now. As we do have a few hours left of this readathon. I think we've got about 6.5 hours left, and I have these 3 books to go. So will I get it all done? I'm not sure, but I am planning, because it's a lovely day, to actually go to the park for a few hours and sit down, and I am actually going to take all 3 books with me and we're just going to see what happens. I feel like this is wishful thinking, but I would love to actually get it done, so I'm going to stop talking and let's go do that. It's been a lovely afternoon, just sat out here reading. I think it's like 2 something, I'm not sure, and I'm going to give you a full reading update because I've actually read quite a lot, but I've just finished The Great God Pan and this was amazing. So what I didn't realise was this was a collection of 4 short stories, and the first one is The Great God Pan, and it's only 63 pages long, but it was brilliant. Like, it was so good, and the way it was just written, the horror element to it, like, it was all hinted and insinuated and stuff. I felt like I kind of added to it more by not knowing what was going on. Like, it was so well written. I absolutely loved it. I would carry on, but I don't want to rush read short stories, as I've said so many times on this channel, but I do think short stories are best read slowly. So I don't think I'm going to read any more of this one, but it was fantastic and definitely my favourite read out of this whole 24 hours so far. So yeah, this was brilliant. I loved it, and I think I'm going to I need to do a bit of shopping, food shopping, so I'll probably do that and then give you a bit more of an update when I'm actually home, see what the time is, and then maybe finish up some more of this because I've got about 140 pages left. So hopefully we'll get that finished as well. But yeah, it's been great today. I'm really pleased I came to actually just sit down in a park and chill out and read and had my little picnic. It's just perfect. Attempt number 3 to film this wrap up. It is almost 5 o'clock, like we're at 4:57, and I've been trying for the last 10 minutes to film this, but it has been so loud. We have some neighbours that are doing some construction work or something, and it's just ridiculously loud, and I'm like, it's 5 PM on a Sunday. Don't you want to stop and go home at this point? Anyway, it's been a great time and I have really enjoyed it, and I've thought, for doing this wrap up, I'm just going to rank the books from worst to favourite and talk about them. The drilling has restarted, so I'm really sorry if you can hear all of that's going on. It is so annoying, but I don't know when they're going to stop, so we're just going to go with it. So my least favourite was Magical Girl Apocalypse, and I read this one today while I was at the park. It was a very quick read. I read it in less than an hour, but I didn't enjoy this, and I think doing this readathon has really helped me understand what sort of manga I'm actually interested in, and it's more things like light horror, but this one was unnecessary horror. I feel like it was very vulgar, very gruesome and violent, and yes, it did have a plot line to it, but not one that was engaging, so that was really frustrating for me. We're following this kid at school that is complaining, saying every day is the same and really bored, until all of a sudden the day isn't the same. He sees one of his teachers get killed by this person, and she then goes on a rampage and wipes out pretty much everyone in the school. A small group of kids survive, and they find out that this hasn't just happened in their school, it's happening all over the country. It just wasn't for me. That's what I've come to learn, is like, I like some manga, but I just don't like this sort of thing. Then we have the 3 extraordinary comics. So obviously I read volume 2, 3 and 4, finishing this up at last. I've been putting it off for ages, and again, I mean, these did not take long at all. It's just, as I've already said, I'm not going to re-go over it too much, but just the frustrating part that the main characters in this just felt like main characters from the novels. So when I was doing a bit of research into it, then realising, you know what, they are separate people, because I kept wondering, well, why are the names all different? But they feel exactly the same, and it is just a bit disappointing. I think the actual storyline is good, but just the characters could have been more standalone instead of feeling like they have to be carbon copies of people we already met from the books. It's like, either make them those characters and have their story expanded a bit more, or have them be something completely different. That's just my view on this. And then I decided to put Lady McKenna next. I did like this one, as I mentioned already earlier today, so I'm not going to go too much into this one either. It was fine, it was good. I'm still undecided if I'm going to carry on, so I'll hang on to it for a little while, but I think if by the end of the year I've still had no inclination to pick up the next one, then I'll probably leave it and unhaul it. Then we have Iron King. So I did actually finish this. This is one that I was finishing up, and I finished it 20 minutes before the end, as said, but try to film this wrap up for a wee little while now. And I did like it, but I could say this isn't one that I'm love. However, I know I would have loved it when I was younger. So back in those days when I was in the zone for all of that YA fantasy, and also like Hunger Games and things like all of those, when they were big and all first came out, I would have loved this then. I just think for me now, I'm just a lot older and I don't enjoy it as much. However, I can appreciate the commentary, as I've already mentioned, about how many connections I made to other things like Alice in Wonderland, that moment with The Hobbit, the fact they do talk about Midsummer's Night Dream so much in this, and also it felt very much like Narnia-esque at times as well. So I enjoyed it for that factor. It was a bit eye-rolly in places for me, and I feel like the love and everything was just so predictable, so tropey and so quick. There wasn't any of that build-up, but the actual world and all the different fairy creatures, that I really enjoyed, and it's just fantastic. And I think that's another thing, like, that trilogy blows this out of the water for me, so not bad. Not the best. And then we get to the last two, and obviously we have The Promised Neverland, and I enjoyed this one. This is the sort of manga that I like, and I am definitely going to be continuing on with this series. I thought it was really good. Definitely a manga that I really want. Like, the whole time I was reading Magical Girl Apocalypse, I was like, ugh, this is fine, but I would much rather have just reread this one instead. So yeah, much better, really enjoyed it, can't wait to carry on. And then the final book, which was my favourite, which I did talk briefly about in the park, was The Great God Pan. This was so good, it was so good. So as I said, it is actually a series of short stories, and I will be continuing on with this probably throughout the months of May, and kind of pair it with my Sherlock Holmes short story collection and get this one read as well, because it's just fantastic. This first short story was so gripping. I enjoyed it so much. It was just the atmosphere, the way it was written. Like, at first I was very confused. We had a bit of an experiment that was going on, and we had this scientist that was conducting this experiment on this girl, and said how he was going to get her to see the Great God Pan. And then it kind of cuts to back. It fades out. It doesn't go to plan the way he wanted it to. And then it changes, and we have the person that was with the doctor while this was all happening, like watching the experiment take place. You have him talking about a journal that he received that he was reading. That was so good. Like, the journal entry, I was hooked, I was invested. And then he stopped reading it, and I was like, wait, no, I wanted to know what was happening, like, go back to it. And then it goes to somebody else, and it's all these like weird little vignettes, but they all linked together, and it was so good. I really enjoyed it. It is a book where nothing sinister really happens. The feeling is there and you're just drawn in, and it was so good. I'm really pleased I put a classic on this TBR. Otherwise, I think, apart from The Promised Neverland and finding out that's the sort of manga that I like, this was really quite a lackluster 24-hour readathon for me. None of it was something that I'm like, oh, amazing, I found a new favourite book and things like this. Instead, it's kind of cemented, okay, what I like in manga, and the fact that I really do just love classics. I love classics so much, and it's something that I definitely need to read more of. I think they're so well done, and I know they can be a bit intimidating because a lot of people don't see them as accessible, but they are. Like, there are so many that are, and I'm so pleased that I read this one, because it kind of just made my day. When I was sat in the park, I was just like, wow. And I was like, I had started off with reading a bit of Iron King, then I went to Magical Girl Apocalypse, and I was like, oh, that was rubbish. And then I read this, and I was like, now I've got to go to this? I was just like, no. This was brilliant, and it just kind of cements that I have changed as a reader. Like, I have grown so much because I would have loved this, but now I am someone that loves the classics, wants that beautiful lyrical writing, and it's just interesting to see how much I've changed. So I think this readathon, while it wasn't a set TBR, has shown how much my reading tastes have changed for me, as obviously as the person that's been reading. And so to see that change happen and see where I am now is very interesting to me. I hope this was interesting to you. I have decided that I will be doing this again. It was so much fun, and it also was lovely just to have a break and do nothing but read and just enjoy it. But I think next time I'm going to do an actual themed readathon. So I haven't decided on the theme or anything like that yet, but we're going to do a themed one. If you are interested, put up a little announcement for it to let you know like the dates and stuff, so if you wanted to take part or anything, you could let me know. But yeah, just either way, I enjoyed this. It was good fun for me, and I'm so pleased I at least found 2 books that I really enjoyed, because it just kind of made the day for me and this experiment. Plus I did manage to get quite a bit off my TBR, which I'm even happier about. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this one. If you've made it this far, then let's put some form of utensil or something like science related emoji, because I think that works well for this book. Thank you so much for watching. I apologise about what may hear the horrible background noise. I'm hoping my mic's normally pretty good at just filtering out stuff, so hoping that is working for me today again. So thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, don't forget to put that emoji in the comments. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Comment to let me know that you're here. Social media links will be linked below, and I will of course catch you in the next one.